What's going on, guys? It's Nick here, back with another video. It's Monday, so you know what time it is. Time for another Mock Draft Monday. We got stat of the day, we got news, and we got two polls to do from the last 2 weeks. So we're just going to hop right into it. Sunday's stat of the day was which quarterback was given the least time to throw on average. Answer was Andy Dalton. You guys know I record Mock Draft Mondays a little bit early, so don't know who got it right. But all the time, quarterback ones are answered correctly. But this just indicates, Bengals offensive line was quite bad last season. Should improve a little bit this year, though. Today's stat: which wide receiver clocked the fastest speed in 2019? Had to be a ball carrier. I think technically Tyreek Hill was fastest on that play that he caught up to Damian Williams, but we're not counting that play. It has to be a ball carrier for this one. So, a few bits of news, and then we'll go over a little bit on opt-outs, but opt-outs actually weren't too bad. We were hoping that we didn't get too many big names, but not really expecting many big names, if we're being completely honest. Like, players who are just elite for their teams were very, very unlikely to opt out. We were just hoping there weren't too many big things. So only a little bit happened. Raiders offensive coordinator says that Ruggs will start the season in the slot. That is not good news if you are a Renfro owner. It's not the end of the world for him. It's just that, if Ruggs is in the slot, like, Renfro can't really play on the outside, so he's going to definitely see fewer snaps than you were expecting before. But the Bryan Edwards hype train is definitely about to pick up steam. He looks like he's fully healthy. Obviously, he's an increased risk for injury, and he's a rookie, so he's got less time. But honestly, I've been saying in the offseason, I haven't really expected Edwards to be fantastic this season, but I think in the next 2 to 3 years, he's going to be the team's one, and it's not going to be Ruggs. I think that Edwards is an absolutely fantastic wide receiver prospect, and if he's going to be playing on the outside this season and getting a lot of snaps, he could definitely end the season as their top wide receiver. So we're already on board with this hype, and I don't expect, especially with no preseason, him to rise up boards really that much. So you can get him in the final round if you really want to. Dolphins are cautiously optimistic about Preston Williams for week 1. That's a bump down. A lot of times you hear teams be like, oh no, they're probably going to be good. When you're cautiously optimistic he'll be ready for week 1, he's going to start the season slow. Even if he's playing, it'll likely be on a little bit of limited snaps, and maybe he won't be 100% in those snaps. So it's not the news you want to hear if you like Preston Williams late. But also, he's going the 13th to 14th round. So you're not relying on that pick for even the first month of the season. So you can take him. You can be like, hey, I'm just going to see what kind of happens. And then, like what happens every year when there's fantastic waiver wire options in week 1 and 2, you just drop them if nothing's really happening. And it's not the end of the world. So this isn't horrible news. It's just not the news you want to hear, obviously. Bruce Arians says Ronald Jones is the main guy and that everyone else is fighting for roles. Do not just jump out and say, oh, that means that the whole year Jones is the feature back. That is not what he's saying. Obviously, he's the main guy right now. Like, they're just starting with Vaughn. They just signed McCoy. Like, obviously, those guys need to prove themselves, right? They're not just stepping into roles. So I don't think you should just be going out and getting Ronald Jones everywhere. Although I'll say it is very likely that he starts the season as the guy. But the guy doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be playing on passing downs, that he's going to be playing 70% of the snaps. The guy out of the 3 might mean 50% in only first and second downs, which still wouldn't be that great for fantasy. So it's still a situation I am personally avoiding because we do not have confirmation on what it's going to be. And I would prefer to draft players that have confirmation on what their role is. Opt-outs, let's talk about that. So the Patriots were hit the hardest for sure. They lose Chung, Hightower, Cannon. Those are 3 pretty big names. Definitely hurts their defense. It hurts their offensive line. They are not going to be as good on defense as they were last season. It's not that they're going to be bad, obviously, but they're just not going to be as dominant as they were last year. And then Cannon is a blow to the offensive line. The Broncos' offensive line also takes a hit, losing Juwan James. So they'll move from average to below average. So definitely, obviously, just not good news for Melvin Gordon. I still think you can draft him. Obviously, this doesn't change it that much, but it's, he may be less efficient than he would have been. The biggest news, though, is Damian Williams obviously opting out. That's the most impactful for fantasy. I've moved Clyde Edwards-Helaire up to 5th behind McCaffrey, Barkley, Zeke, and Kamara. You know I always take those 4, any format, as the first 4, and I'm sliding in Clyde as 5th. In full PPR, if you want to take Michael Thomas, especially if there's 3 wide receiver slots, you can do that, but I will personally be taking Clyde at 5. Nothing else really happened. Obviously, there were some players that were like maybe fringe, kind of whatever, but no one that's going to really impact rankings. So we should be good to go. Anyone, I mean, the opt-out period's over, if that wasn't clear. It was, Thursday at 2 p.m., so you can't opt out anymore. And I also want to stop seeing people complain about players who are going to opt out. Like, that's completely ridiculous. Also, they're not actually being paid. Like, people are like, oh, they get $150K, that's not fair. No, that's it's a loan. Like, they still have to pay it back. They're just taking the $150K from what they would have made in 2021. So stop complaining. Stop complaining that these players are prioritizing themselves over your entertainment. For the poll, we have to actually do 2 because I forgot to do the poll 2 weeks ago. And both of them I disagree with, if we're being completely honest with what you guys said. So the first one was double running back starting double running back or starting running back wide receiver. I don't know how to say that second one. So in the actual draft, I think I took Julio. So in the actual draft, I started off Kenyon Drake, then Julio, then probably Carson, then David Johnson. I think that's how the first 4 went. And you can see right here, hopefully I'm not blocking it, but you actually don't even need to see. Or would you rather start out double running back and take Drake, then Chubb, then Carson, and then Ridley as your 1? You guys said you'd rather take the Drake, Chubb, Carson, Ridley. I think that leaves you a little bit thin at wide receiver, and I really like how the team turned out because at running backs, we still had Carson, we still had Drake, David Johnson, David Montgomery. That's still really good for running back core. Even Kareem Hunt, you don't need all those guys, and Chubb too. Like, you just don't need that many running backs. I'd rather just take the upgrade of Julio and still have Drake, Carson, David Johnson, David Montgomery. Like, I just think it's a little bit better. So I do disagree on that one. And the second one was, would you rather Josh Allen and Joshua Kelly or Cam Newton and Darius Geis? And then for this one, this was the team. So assuming that it was that, you guys said you'd rather have the late quarterback Cam Newton and grab Geis. I disagree. I think Josh Allen was the correct pick in taking Joshua Kelly as well, because you've got McCaffrey and you've got Jacobs. You're not starting Geis because look at the wide receivers. You got Allen Robinson, Chark, McLaurin, Gallup. You're not starting Geis over any of them either. So I think I'd rather just take the upgrade at quarterback. So I disagree on both of those, but I guess we'll see. It'll be really interesting to see all of these at the end of the year. We still don't really have a lean on this quarterback situation. It's 2 for early, 2 for middle, 3 for late. So I guess maybe that's a slight lean, but it's not really how I expected. I was hoping to actually see a clear indication of, oh, you guys pick quarterback late every time. Not the case so far. So mock draft time. Middle. We're doing a middle pick. We've done early, we've done late in the last 2. We're going to go PPR again. Same settings, 7 bench, 2 running back, 2 wide receiver. No, we actually did. Last time we did PPR, I think we did 3 wide receiver. So we'll do 2 this time. And then, of course, no kicker, 1 quarterback. Everything else will be the same. We're using Fantasy Pros again because every other site is garbage besides Sleeper, and I don't think Sleeper has adjusted the Clyde, and I want the rankings to be as accurate as possible. And whenever you want that, I mean, Fantasy Pros is just as accurate as it could possibly be at pretty much all times. Like, at this point, you should just be drafting on Fantasy Pros, and no, they're not paying me to say that, obviously. You should be drafting on Fantasy Pros. You just should. You're going to if your league's on ESPN, go take a look at their ADPs right now. It's trash. ESPN, Yahoo, NFL, all horrible. And there's nothing in sight that's like, oh, they're going to change. So if you're drafting on Fantasy Pros, your team, you might get into a groove and get a really good team, and then you go over to ESPN, you're going to crush. You're going to do so good. So don't practice on the easy one. Practice on the really hard one, and then step into an ESPN draft, and you're going to be like, these are the ADPs, these are awful, and you're going to do incredible. So that's my take on why we keep doing the hardest one. But here's how it started off. I don't think I love mid picks, but we'll try and make a good team with it. Barkley, McCaffrey, Zeke, Michael Thomas, Kamara, Adams, a pretty standard beginning in a full PPR league. So our options. We can take Dalvin Cook. We can take Derrick Henry, Clyde, Mixon. Those are probably the 4 running backs you're looking at. You're obviously not taking Mahomes or Lamar. It's a 1 quarterback league. And then you're not looking at tight end yet. For wide receivers, you would have considered Michael Thomas and Adams here, but you're really not considering that tier of like Julio, Hill, Hopkins, Godwin. I have Godwin's in that first tier, not in tier 2. So you're basically looking at running back here. So you take your highest ranked running back. I would say maybe if you're on like an ESPN draft and you think Clyde falls to the 206, then you could say I'm going to wait and just take like a Dalvin Cook or Henry, whoever you prefer between those two. I prefer Cook, of course, in a full PPR league. But he's not going to in this draft. He's just not going to fall that far. So I am going to take Clyde. The system is going to give us a bad grade for doing that. But I have him 5th, and we just took him 7th, so it's a value for us. I think that if you're worried about the backups on KC, that's absolutely absurd. They took him in the first round. He is a fantastic prospect. I did have him at 2 going into this. A lot of people had him closer to 5 or 4. Had him at 2. I think he's awesome. He's going to probably, if I had to guess his points per game, you would be guessing like 18 to 22 points per game. So why would you not want it? Like, he's got 20 touchdown upside. He's likely going to have a season like Kareem Hunt did when he was a rookie. You take players who are fantastic talents on the best possible situation. It's just a no-brainer in my opinion. He's going to get all the volume. So at the next pick, we do see our tier 1. I'll actually go over the picks first, but we do see a tier 1 running back and wide receiver. So we'll have to make a decision, or I guess tier 2 running back, but you get what I mean. One of the top guys. So after us, for running backs, we see Cook, Henry, Jacobs, Sanders, Eckler, Mixon, very standard. We do see Travis Kelce go in the early second. I think he usually goes late second. And then Julio, Ty Freak, and Hopkins go for wide receivers. So our option is very clear. We either take Chris Godwin or we take Kenyon Drake. I do have Kenyon Drake as a first-round pick, right behind Miles Sanders, both late first-round picks. And for the rest of these mock drafts, I will be doing how I would actually start a league, like how I would pick the teams. We're not testing things out. We'll look back for sure on all of them and be like, what could have happened? But we will not be testing out strategies. We'll be going hard. We'll be trying to draft the best team possible. So we've started off with Clyde and Kenyon Drake. I love that start in a full PPR league. After us, only 2 running backs go, Nick Chubb and Aaron Jones. We see Godwin, Juju, Allen Robinson, Kenny Golladay, Odell, Thielen, and Mike Evans. We see both Lamar and Mahomes go, and then Kittle. So we're not looking at quarterback. We're not looking at tight end. Both of the big 2 on each of those are gone. We are not afraid to take a running back here, but it's a full PPR league, and I see an option on the board that all of you know. I talked about on, would that be Friday? Today for me. I think that goes out. I think the video is out on Friday. My favorite 4 early round wide receivers. It was Adams, DJ Moore, Allen Robinson, and I believe Ridley beat out Robert Woods because it was only the first 4 rounds. Woods is actually higher here though. But those 4 are just my favorite picks in the first 4 rounds. I think they're incredibly safe, incredibly high upside. And we see DJ Moore still on the board here. Again, like I said, we're not afraid to take a running back, but when we look at the board, it's Gurley, Fournette, Carson, Bell, Connor, DJ, Taylor, Montgomery, a lot of very, very similar names. And I do think one of them will be left at our next pick. And so I absolutely think that DJ Moore would be a good pick there. And I would take him late second is where I would be willing to take him. Obviously, it's ideal to get him later than that, but I'd be fine taking him in the late second. So after us, we see Carson, Gurley, Lev Bell, Fournette, and Melvin Gordon go. And then wide receivers, we see Mari Cooper, then Cooper Kupp, then Cortland Sutton, Calvin Ridley, and Robert Woods, of course, go right before us. So that's unfortunate. We do still have Dak Prescott. This is the middle of the 4th round. We still have Dak Prescott, but if this is my team, I need an insane value on Dak or Kyler or Watson or Josh Allen. Like, these need to be incredible values. So if they fall a lot further, then I would consider them. But no, for right now, like if it's my team, I'm waiting until pretty much the last round. So that's probably what we're going to do here. Similar thing for tight end. I will just wait until it's an insane value. So while I think you could take Mark Andrews in the 4th, I want an incredible value. Maybe if he's there in the 5th, we'll take it. So we're still looking wide receiver, still looking running back. James Conner and David Johnson and Jonathan Taylor are like the big 3 right now. But given that we do have Drake and Clyde, I'm not opposed to missing out on one of them. We see A.J. Brown, and then the guys we really like. I like Keenan Allen, but like we really like Chark. We like McLaurin, Metcalf. Metcalf definitely bumped down in full PPR. Definitely McLaurin and Chark ahead of him. The big question would be, can we get one of them? So if we're looking at this board, we see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We see 12 picks that are going to go by after us, right? So when I'm sitting here, I am pretty darn sure that none of Connor, DJ, and Taylor will be there at the next pick. That's pretty much a given. But will one of Chark or McLaurin be there? Because if I can assure myself one of them, then I'd much rather take one of these running backs and still get a Chark or McLaurin. So that's basically the call I have to make. These are computers, so they could really do what they want. You would assume that this guy here is probably not going to take a wide receiver. So maybe he doesn't take one, but then all these guys could take a wide receiver. So we have to guess that maybe seven wide receivers get taken, which means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, which means we might be in this range, which would be unfortunate. So if we were in a full PPR league and we only had DJ Moore, who I still love and I still think is a great one, but then we have to go with like Edelman as our 2, I wouldn't love that. So given this breakdown, which I love that we just talked this through, I'm cool keeping Clyde and Drake if it means that maybe we take one of these running backs at this next one, but I want to secure a few more wide receivers. So I think I'm going to take A.J. Brown. I very rarely take A.J. Brown in leagues, but I think he's a pretty good value in the mid-4th. Then we're just going to pray. It doesn't look like it happened. We were going to pray that one of the wide receivers is left on the board. But yeah, they got taken, unfortunately. But let's see what ended up happening. So right after us, we do see DJ and Connor go. We see Jonathan Taylor go the pick right before us. That's unfortunate. And Cam Akers goes as well. And then we see Chark, McLaurin, Hilton, Keenan Allen, Lockett go as well. So not great. We wanted to get one of those running backs. We wanted to get Chark or McLaurin. We get none of it. But you know what? If this was ESPN, I bet you we would have gotten some of those dudes in the 6th round. So that's why you practice on the harder one. So what do we do here? I'll pull up my team here. You guys probably know what it is, but I'll pull it up anyways. Clyde, Drake, and then DJ Moore and AJ Brown. Love the start though. I think this is a good start for us. We're not locked into anything. Dak is still on the board in the mid-5th round. This is a spot where I would start being quite intrigued in a league that was just like my only league. He's obviously not going to be there in this next round. So this is a good value for him. For running backs, we're looking at David Montgomery, Kareem Hunt, DeAndre Swift. Those are like the big 3 I see left on the board for this pick. For wide receiver, we're looking at Parker and Metcalf. I think would be like the only 2 options that I would feel comfortable here. So we actually have a few options. We can take the quarterback in the 5th round. A quarterback that I legitimately think could finish as a quarterback 1, given how much talent he's surrounded with this season. But I just don't love it. I know it's tough because I think he's going to be so good this year. But there are so many quarterbacks, and when you stream, you roughly get quarterback 6 to 7 production. And am I willing to take a quarterback in the 5th round in a money league when I know I can easily get top 6, 7, 8 quarterback production with my 14th round pick? That's really tough. That's tough value to beat. So I'm considering David Montgomery with this pick, but I'm not against taking Parker, especially with what we just talked about. Preston Williams might be a little slow to start, and they have no one outside of him. And given that, what was Parker, like the wide receiver 2 over the second half of the year? Don't quote me on that stat, but I think he was like the wide receiver 2 over a very large stretch last season. And they basically invested heavily in him by saying, we're not going to invest in anyone, right? Like, you can invest in people without investing in them. You can be like, hey, we got a ton of draft picks. Not going to use any of them, or at least any high picks, on an incredible wide receiver class. We're not going to bring anyone in free agency. You're the guy. Okay. I mean, that's investing a lot into him. You could take Metcalf here as well, but I'll say the reception ceiling of Metcalf isn't there for PPR for where I think I would still prefer Parker. So we are going to do it. I think we lock in our wide receivers, and we just hope that we have some nice value. Of course, Metcalf goes. Mark Ingram's still on the board, and Kareem Hunt. Okay. So that worked. So I was considering like Swift and Hunt as well, because I think they're exceptional for PPR leagues. So I'm very happy that we still got one of them. So after our pick, we do see Dak actually go. I probably would have taken him in the 6th round if he hadn't gone. But we see him go in the 6th round. But after us, we see Metcalf go the pick right after. A.J. Green. We see Will Fuller go in the 6th. Wow, that's early. And then Diggs go in the 6th as well. And then only running backs are Singletary and David Montgomery, with Higbee and Waller at tight end. So we are with the 6th round here. And the team is looking nice. We've got Clyde, we've got Drake, and we've got Moore, Brown, and Devonta Parker. We are leaning running back with this pick. So we pull up the cheat sheet. And actually, it's nice that we're leaning running back here, because I see some running backs I really like. And then wide receivers is kind of like not a dead zone, but a flat zone. I'm cool with Edelman. I'm cool with Gallup, Marquise Brown. Kind of a drop off after that into like a new tier. Of course, Landry and Boyd were kind of in that tier as well. But after the Gallup pick there, I see a drop. So we can look at Mark Ingram. We can hope for touchdown efficiency, but I'm not going to. I would prefer one of Hunt or Swift here. And I think I'm actually going to take Swift. I know, believe me, I know I love Hunt a ton because he's got top 5 upside if Chubb goes down. But I really believe Swift is like the far superior running back between him and Kerryon, and given Kerryon's injury history as well. And this team, it's going to be good on offense. It's not necessarily going to be that great on defense. I think they can hold their own on defense, but they're probably going to be in a decent amount of shootouts, and Swift is awesome. If Swift ever gets this full-time job, then look out. It's going to be incredible for fantasy. So we'll pull up the team here after. See a few guys we really liked definitely go off the board. So again, we're in another range of tight end and quarterback. We were considering Andrews, we were considering Dak, but we needed exceptional value. And we've gotten to a range where we're just not going to get. We're not going to get exceptional value with Matt Ryan, with Wentz, with Breeze, with Brady. Like, at this point, disregard quarterback. Unless something crazy happens and like Matt Ryan's still there in the 12th, like disregard quarterback, focus all your energy on running back and wide receiver. And we're also in a similar range with tight ends where it's like, I don't even want Ingram. I don't want Henry. I don't want Cook. I don't want Hooper. I want Hurst. I want Hawkinson. I want Fant. Jonnu Smith. I want all those guys later. So Hurst is the only one we'll consider, but it's not going to be for this pick. So we're still focusing on running back and wide receiver. We've got Clyde. We've got Drake and Swift. And then DJ Moore, AJ Brown, and Parker. So we're even on both of them still. We do not need one or the other. Our options at running back, we're in the mid-7th round now. We can take a shot on Geis. He is the lone starting running back still on the board. You could technically say Sony Michel is, but like, I don't know. I mean, he's a starting running back, but I don't think he's going to get as much volume on the ground as we're used to. And they're still going to use White, and they're still probably going to use Harris. I don't know. I don't consider him right now like a starting running back in my eyes. Breda and Howard, I went over them in a video on Thursday, but my lean is Breda, especially in a full PPR league. But we're kind of in a gross range. And I do really think Geis is an exceptional pick. And given that our running backs right now, I feel good about. Like, I feel good about Clyde and Drake. So where I can wait a little bit on Swift to kind of be using him in the flex and RB2 at times. And I do not need this pick to work out right now. I can wait on Geis and see what happens there. So I'd rather take upside. We're in the 7th round. Every single one of these picks from here on out, I want more and more and more upside. Who's got more upside than Darius Geis? Because he's a running back 1 if he's going to finish the season, right? I know people hate my take on that, but if he's healthy for the full season, he definitely can finish as a running back 1. I'm not saying he's a lock to. I'm saying he absolutely has that in his range of outcomes because he is an incredible talent. So now we look at running back, and I'm kind of glad we took him because we're in another range where it's like, I guess Breda would be the pick, but I don't want Howard, Lindsey, Sony, Vaughn, Coleman. I don't even really want Latavius. I'd start looking at like Duke, Pollard, Moss, Scott, Edmonds, those guys I want, but late for them. Still don't want anything with quarterback. Still really just not going to touch any of the tight ends. I mean, if you really liked Ingram, this would be a nice spot to take him. I'm just not all on him. So we're looking at wide receiver. And if we're looking at upside, the highest upside player still on the board is Brandon Cooks. Cooks is playing with another, I know he's injury prone. It's more the concussions that are the issue with Cooks. He's playing with Will Fuller, who has never, he played 4 seasons now, never finished a season fully healthy. They're losing or have lost DeAndre Hopkins, so a ton of vacated targets, and the team's not going to be that good, so they're going to be late. They're going to be throwing the ball late a ton. All of that sets up beautifully for Cooks to have a bounce-back season. No one is going to be shocked if Cooks finishes as like a top 15 wide receiver because he's done it so many years in a row, and all of a sudden, he has one bad season? He's had one bad season. He's been incredible, and every other year has one down season, goes to an incredible situation, and no one wants him. Doesn't make much sense to me. So I'm fully on board with this pick. I think that is really nice value. Getting him in the 7th round. 8th round? It was the 8th round. Come on. He should not be going in the 8th round. Pull up the team again. Running backs. Clyde, Drake, Swift, Geis. Love it. Wide receivers. Moore, Brown, Parker, and Cooks. Yes. I like how this team is turning out. Still not looking at quarterback. Evan Ingram. Okay. So we're in the 9th round now. This is where I definitely consider it. So let's look at running back and wide receiver. We're still in that range. I don't really care about these running backs, and I'm not reaching on like a Moss or a Pollard or a Scott or an Edmonds. Wide receiver, I definitely think Brown and Miller are solid picks here. I would really like to get Anthony Miller, but I don't think there's a huge gap between him and the other options. So it is not a bad idea here to take Ingram. I know I said I wanted some of those other guys, but this is kind of like a luxury pick. Mid-9th round for Evan Ingram. I know that he gets hurt a lot and he just can't stay healthy, but if he is healthy, he's one of the better tight ends in football. And I said you could consider him in the last round, and then a bunch of picks went by. So I think 9th round I would end up taking Evan Ingram if this was my league. It would pain me to not leave the draft with like a Hurst or a Hawkinson or a Fant, but I think I'd have to do it with my 9th round pick. And Anthony Miller's still on the board. So the guy I would have taken, there's no way Ingram's still on the board in the 10th. I would have taken Anthony Miller anyways. So why not love that? We'll take Anthony Miller there. I think we might need a running back. Ooh, that's unfortunate. I see Moss go off the board. That's sad. So how many picks? We have 3 bench spots. We still have quarterback and, of course, defense last round. So running backs are the same. We still have Clyde, Drake, Swift, and Geis. And wide receivers are looking really nice. DJ Moore, A.J. Brown, Devonta Parker, Brandon Cooks, and Anthony Miller. So our lean here is running back. We're not opposed to taking a wide receiver, but our lean is running back. We do see a handcuff come off the board. I'm cool taking handcuffs when you know it's the guy. Pollard's the handcuff to Zeke. We're pretty sure that Edmonds is the handcuff to Drake. It's when you're very sure on these guys. But honestly, it's ideal to just take other people's. You gain so much more upside taking other people's handcuffs. And we also have to think, it's there's going to be a lot of, sickness going around. Okay, but if one running back gets it, isn't the other running back also extremely likely to get it? I mean, they're in they're with each other all the time, doing the same drills, same things in practice. They're in the same running back room. It is likely that if Zeke got it, and of course Zeke already got it, so that's good. But if Zeke got it, Pollard would get it, right? I mean, you'd think. So that's just my take on that. I really just hope we don't see too many situations like that. But again, it is still more optimal to take other people's handcuffs. Still in that range, we don't care for quarterback. For wide receivers, we'd be looking at Curtis Samuel, Deshaun Jackson, but it would honestly be a few guys in this range. So it would be Curtis Samuel. That would be the person I'd take here. I think we would end up taking running back here though, and it would be Duke. I mean, Duke would be my favorite amongst these guys because let's say we've got some sickness going around. I've got people on COVID IR. I've got people on my bench. I need points. Full PPR league, Duke Johnson. Yes, he's going to get you points each and every week. And hey, David Johnson's been hurt before. So Duke steps into a full-time role. Whew, upside. Ton of upside. So I like Duke. And I think we've got 2 bench spots left. I would definitely like one of these guys to be a running back for sure. Because even though we're evened out and this is a full PPR league, I still think I want my bench to have a bunch of running backs on it. So we've got Clyde, Drake, Swift, Geis, and now Duke Johnson. I really think we should take a running back here. And then Moore, Brown, Parker, Cooks, Miller. Yeah, unless there was a wide receiver jumping out too, you stay away from that spot. You could look at quarterback here if there was a running back where you're I don't really care either. Well, I mean, we'll take a look. So Boston Scott's an option. Naheem Hines in a full PPR league, but we don't really know the role. We think he's going to have a nice role in the passing game, but we don't know for sure. Darren Evans would be solid. Damian Harris would be nice. Joshua Kelly. Okay. I mean, there's not that great of options. I think Boston Scott would be the top guy. I don't have a huge lean, though. So that's interesting. We could still take quarterback here. So we've got Aaron Rodgers, Big Ben, Cam Newton. Yeah, it would come down to Cam Newton or Aaron Rodgers with this pick. I cannot remember who I have higher. I know I have Aaron Rodgers low. The thing with Rodgers is, has he ever been this bad? I know that I always mention that they want to run the ball a ton, that they only have Adams. So, even though he is still incredible, they only have Adams. Adams isn't going to have 2,000 receiving yards, so who else is he going to throw to? It could still be Jace. It could still be the running backs, but he doesn't have a ton of weapons. Thing is, like I just said, how many times has Rodgers even finished this low, even with not that great of talent? Plus, he did fine last season, and I know it was aided on a few huge games. He did fine last season, and they ran for an historically large amount of touchdowns. Their rushing touchdown percentage was higher than we've ever seen the Packers have. I mean, it was incredibly high. They're going to throw for a higher percentage of their touchdowns this season. So it is not a bad idea. I'm almost backing off the take because he used to be going a lot earlier than this, earlier in the summer, but he's dropped so far to where it's isn't this Aaron Rodgers' floor? Really? I mean, am I going to wait one round, make sure I get Boston Scott so that Rodgers is off the board, maybe Newton's off the board, and I have to start Big Ben or Burrow? Like, at that point, it's probably just not worth it. I'm just going to take Rodgers because it's the 12th round. Like, he's still Aaron Rodgers. I know that it's not as high upside as it used to be, but you got to think, I don't know, man. You got to think it's not a bad pick. Because I would take Big Ben probably here too, but like Big Ben to Burrow. I mean, Burrow's going to start the season with a pretty difficult schedule, so he's probably going to bounce right back to free agency. And there's none of these picks that I need. I mean, I like Teddy Bridgewater because I like him as a late round pick, but we are in the late rounds, and I just got Aaron Rodgers, so I don't know. That's my take on the Rodgers situation. I feel like the hype, or the dislike of him has gone a tad bit too far. So what do we have? One bench spot left? Oh, we have two. Okay, we have two bench spots. Let's split it. Running back and wide receiver. Who do we prefer? I want Damian Harris on my team. So Damian Harris for running back. Wide receiver. I mean, I guess Lazard. I mean, he's the 2 now, right? I mean, so you've got Lazard, Pittman. I like Pittman. We could take Bryan Edwards. If you wanted Bryan Edwards, you'd wait till the next pick to do it. I like T. Higgins, though. I like Steven Sims. Laviska's not a horrible pick. I think it's more in the future for him, though. Cobb would be a nice pick if we didn't have Cook. I don't think I like Lazard enough to take him here because I really do want Damian Harris on this team for the upside. So we'll take Harris. We'll just see who's left on the board after this. Go. Thank you. Oh, Lazard's still there. So we'll take Lazard. And then we'll take a defense. We'll look at our team. I don't think there were that many decision points in this one, but we'll look at what there is. Scroll. So the names we're always looking for at defense are Kansas City, the Broncos. Nope. The Chargers. I looked at the Broncos when I said that. Kansas City, Chargers, Bucks, Colts. Those 4 names, you should be able to leave a draft with one of them, even if you wait until the final round. I do not remember what the rankings are. Just look at the rankings, what the order is. If I had to guess right now, I think it's Chargers, then Bucks, then Chiefs, and then Colts. Pretty sure. I'm pretty sure that's how the order goes. So we will take the LA Chargers. A very, very, very good defense this season. Oh, we actually didn't get dinged too hard. So I know we were going to get dinged for the Clyde at the first pick. Hey, is 95 our biggest grade so far? I don't remember. But I think this team is really good. I remember we don't care too much about the grade because sometimes our drafting strategy leads to a lower grade. But I like the team. So here's the starting lineup. For those listening on the podcast, that's why I keep listing it. For those of you who don't know, we have this on iTunes, we have this on Spotify, and we have extra podcasts each week. So look on there. Like, there's extra content on the podcast, so definitely subscribe to that. But for the people on the podcast, that's why I keep listing off the team. I know it's on the screen. Starting lineup: Aaron Rodgers, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Kenyon Drake, DJ Moore, AJ Brown, Evan Ingram, Devonta Parker, and the Chargers. Love that starting lineup. And this bench is awesome. It really is. Swift, Geis, Brandon Cooks, Anthony Miller, Duke Johnson, Damian Harris, and Alan Lazard. There's definitely a drop-off on the Lazard pick, and I don't think it's a super high upside pick, but hey, he's the 2. I mean, and if on this roster we're assuming that Rodgers has a good season, got to throw to someone, probably going to be Lazard. But I don't think it's a great high upside pick. But again, I don't really care about that pick because I'm almost certain to drop him for whoever's hot on waivers in weeks 1, 2, and 3. So I don't need to be invested in the pick. But I love the upside on all of our running backs on the bench as well. I mean, you could legitimately, if you went wide receiver heavy, start the season with Swift and Geis. So I really like this team. That's really good. Did we have a decision point? I never considered anything in the first 3 rounds for sure. I think it was when we got to the AJ Brown pick when I considered what would have probably been James Conner. Maybe the Parker pick. I didn't consider anyone. Thought Swift and Geis. Okay, the only thing I can think of is AJ Brown. I would have gone with James Conner, and then I would have hoped to take a running back with the next pick, but then I would have ended up, guys, I don't think there is one, because I think we did everything right. Because at A.J. Brown, I would have taken James Conner, and then I would have basically had to take a wide receiver here, so we would have ended up with Parker anyways, and I would have wanted Swift at this pick, so I guess it would be Gallup. There's your thing. We'll do that. So would you rather have James Conner and Gallup, or would you rather have A.J. Brown and Swift? I guess there's a legitimate case to be made. I could have gotten both of them, right? Yeah, so I could have done that. Who would you rather have? And I'll post this on Twitter as well. Of course, follow me on Twitter. We're going to get a bunch of updates out there, a bunch of stats I post. But then also I post the results for these that we can look at in the next week. James Conner and Michael Gallup, or A.J. Brown and DeAndre Swift. So, I think I've talked for long enough. That's the end of this one. Hope you all did enjoy. If you did, how about hitting the like button? And how about subscribing to the channel if you're new? Thanks for watching.